Frelinghuysen for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, we are quickly approaching one of the most important deadlines in the recent history of national security in the United States, the often postponed end of negotiations to halt Iran's nuclear weapons program. I support the goal of stopping Iran's nuclear weapons ambitions forever, and I have grave fears that the United States is headed down a very dangerous path of concession and surrender to a terrorist regime that has had American blood on its hands since 1979, military and civilian. Each and every day we need to read new reports that Iranian leaders are systematically moving the goalposts on these important negotiations. Let me cite just a few examples. First, any prudent agreement would allow no-notice inspections of suspected, not just declared Iranian nuclear weapon sites. Yet the Iranian parliament has passed legislation banning inspections of their military installations. Senior Iranian officials have also taken it further, declaring, and I quote, "Not only will we not grant foreigners the permission to inspect our military sites, we will not even give them permission to think about such a subject," end of quotation. This attitude would make any agreement totally unverifiable. Secondly, any worthwhile agreement would phase in sanctions relief as the regime proves over time that it is complying with all provisions. Yet President Rouhani has declared, and I quote, "We will not sign any deal unless sanctions are lifted on the same day," end of quotations. Why would we allow Iran to boost its staggering economy by providing an immediate capital infusion with which to support their relentless military, intelligence, and political efforts across the globe? President Obama's explanations have been nothing short of baffling. He told National Public Radio, and I quote, "How, if at all, can you prevent Iran from using its new wealth over the next several years to support Bashar al-Assad of Syria, to support Hezbollah, adventures in Yemen or elsewhere?" I mean, there's been no lessening of their support for Hezbollah or Assad during the course of the last 4 or 5 years, at a time when their economy has been doing terribly. End of quotation. Well, that's the point, Mr. President. The United States should not throw up its hands and actually allow the Iranian economy to be stimulated so they have even more money to solidify their place as the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. Immediate sanctions relief will only provide more resources for them to use their elite Quds force and their proxy militias in Iraq, dominate that country, and advance their goals in Syria, Yemen, and elsewhere. And of course, they'll have more motivation to do so. The tentative agreement announced in April, and everything we've heard and read since then, seems to reinforce the lesson that this administration is willing to give away much more in return for nothing in the way of changing their behavior. Once again, we must never forget that Iran has American blood on its hands since 1979. Iran has cheated before and is likely to cheat again. Yet the administration makes concession after concession to Tehran, even as Iran spreads violence in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and threatens the safety of our troops in the Middle East, and develops new ICBMs that will put America in the crosshairs. My colleagues, Iran's nuclear program weapons quest must be blocked indefinitely, including verifiable dismantlement of its weapons infrastructure. They cannot be allowed to remain a threshold nuclear weapons state, only to join the nuclear club the moment the agreement lapses. From where I stand and from what we know today, we must oppose this agreement. In fact, no deal is better than no deal. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to yield to the gentlewoman from Texas.
How much time does he have remaining?
My remaining time.
The gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.